I need one of these so I can drive one of these. In this video, I will tell you the importance of keeping your CDL clean and 8 tips on how to go about that.
Hey drivers, real quick before we get into today's video. Today's video is brought to you by GP Transco. They are an OTR carrier out of Illinois, and they hire from anywhere in the US. GP Transco offers outstanding pay and really good benefits like health insurance, 401k, life insurance, and more. I suggest you drivers check them out at gptransco.com or give them a call.
Now, if you're a truck driver, if you're driving a truck for a living, your CDL is of utmost importance to you because it means that's your job. That's how you get employed. You need your CDL to be a truck driver. However, these days, it's way too easy to rack up points against your CDL. So let's have a look at some of the ways you can protect it. CDLs these days, it's not like the old days. These days, everything is tracked by these. The DOT, your carrier, and their insurance company track all your driving records and violations on these computers. If you drive over 100,000 miles every year, as most truck drivers do, your odds for violations greatly increase over that of the average car driver that only runs about 12,000 miles a year. And it's even possible to get violations against your license when you're not at fault, when you haven't done anything wrong, but the cops or the scales or somebody mistakenly charges you because they haven't had time to figure it all out. So they just charge the truck driver. And you've got to protect yourself against all these things. But it's not always a fair world. That's the world we live in, though. It used to be these logbooks were a constant source of violations for everyone. Maybe one of the biggest sources of violations. Happily, we don't have to use those anymore. We've got these, and they're a whole lot more accurate, and they help eliminate violations. However, there are all sorts of other areas where you can get violations against your CDL. You can get an overweight ticket. You can get an overlength ticket. You can get an overheight ticket. You can get a speeding ticket. You can get pulled over and get a ticket for defective equipment, and you can certainly get a ticket for being involved in an accident. All of these count against your CDL. So tip number 1 is double check everything to help eliminate the chance of getting a ticket on one of these areas like overheight, overlength, overweight. Don't speed, and don't put yourself into an accident situation, a potential accident situation. Tip number 2, do a very thorough circle check to help eliminate mistakes that the scale guys may find. If you find a mistake, get the shop to fix it. You're not a mechanic, remember that, but it's you that's going to get the ticket, not the mechanic. So before you take off, head into the shop, point it out to the mechanic, get it fixed, or if he says it's okay, get him to sign off on it. Tip number 3, fight all tickets or violations whenever possible. Now, I know that sometimes geography and time schedules make this virtually impossible. You may not be able to get to them all, but fight as many as you possibly can to overturn that violation. Tip number 4, don't violate any of the rules in this, the FMCSA handbook. Keep a copy with you, refer to it if you get into trouble. Just be familiar with it and don't violate any of the rules. Tip number 5, don't let this guy, the dispatcher, or this guy, the manager owner, talk you or bully you into taking off when you've got a defective piece of equipment, because it's not coming out of their hides, it's coming directly out of yours. If you get pulled over, if you get a ticket, if you get a violation, you are the guy that pays for that. These guys will just laugh, walk away, and maybe fire you if you get too many of them. So don't allow yourself to be bullied. These guys don't run the show when you're in charge of the truck. You run the show. Tip number 6, if you are in an accident situation, make sure that you use one of these to take lots of pictures with your phone. And sometimes the pictures will be enough to save your butt in court. Tip number 7, and here's a big one. If you're away from the terminal, if you're out on the road, you're doing your morning circle check, and you find something wrong with the equipment, you've got to call in and have the carrier send a mechanic out to you. You don't want to be rolling to the mechanic. You want the mechanic to come to you, because if you get pulled over between then and the time you get to some shop, you're getting the ticket. Now the shop, your carrier, won't want to dispatch a mechanic with a service truck to you because it costs them money. So this can be a bit of a problem. Carriers don't want to do that. They'll fight you on this. They'll try to bully you and talk you into taking it to the nearest shop, let alone maybe talking and bringing it the rest of the way home. You don't want to do that. But if push comes to shove, if they just won't send a mechanic and a shop truck out to you, you can offer the alternative to them. You can say, and this is completely practical, you can say to them, well, I'm not comfortable pulling this trailer because I think it's malfunctioning. So just to be on the safe side, I'm going to call the local DOT and have them come out and have a look at it. And at this point, the carrier will flip out because they don't want that. They don't want the DOT to know anything. So they'll probably acquiesce to your request and send a shop truck out to have a look at you. But that's a good way to protect yourself. You can always say, well, I'm not feeling good about it. I'd like the authorities to have a look at it and check it out to make sure it's okay. Tip number 8, you don't want to drive in this. Bad weather creates all sorts of possibilities for accidents. And even though you're comfortable in snow and blowing wind and that type of thing, if the bad weather doesn't bother you, it's bothering the four-wheelers around you. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be them that creates the accident, not you. However, when they spin out in front of you and you clip them, you're involved in it. At that point, it's kind of on you to have to prove your innocence. And that's where dash cams are a big help. But the biggest thing is, if the weather looks like hell, listen to the weather reports. If it doesn't look good, if you can't see across the truck stop in the morning, don't move. Just stay out of the bad weather until the highways have been plowed, until everything's clear, the visibility improves. Don't put yourself in a situation where it looks like an accident waiting to happen. At the end of the day, this is yours, and yours alone to protect. Your job relies on it. You need this so you can pay all of these. Keep your CDL clean, keep it safe, keep the rubber side down, take care, and I'll see you on the back home.